It's quite another session today on Elohim TV that we're having to share the word of God through the man of God, Reverend Gabriel. Reverend, greetings to you. Indeed, very well, and I hope the viewers are also very well. Today is another session that you to share the word of God with us, men of God. Please, we are eagerly to hear what is God saying upon our lives, and we are waiting for you, men of God, to teach us more. I know every time we have you, men of God, you always deliver sound teaching of the word of God. So we are waiting. Also, thanking Prosa Productions for making this live recording. Please, men of God, over to you, sir. Thank you. People attendance of believing that we have one relationship with God. People, they believe that our relationship with God is the same, yet our relationship with God differs from one person to another, depending on how you implement the word of God. And today I want to show some verses that may help you become a favored person in the eyes of God, that can help you to create a better relationship with God. Because we find people lying to themselves to have a better relationship with God. Let's open the Bible from the book of Romans chapter 8 verse 14. My Bible says, for all who are led by the Spirit of God are children of God. For all who are led by the Spirit of God are children of God. So, those led by the Spirit of God, those are the children of God. And the opposite is also true, that those that are not led by the Spirit of God are not children of God. Everyone under the sun, everyone on this earth lies under the title of being a creation of God. But there is a better relationship other than being a creation of God, which is being a son or daughter of God. But if you are not led by the Spirit, as stated by Romans chapter 8 verse 14, you still remain a creation of God. And when you take God as your creator, it seems as if that God is far away from you. And when you take God as your Father, after fulfilling the condition of being led by the Spirit, when you take God as your Father, this God is now not far away from you, is now near you. This God is now near you because he's now your Father. Let's take a physical relationship with a relationship between a father and a son. It's a close relationship. The father and the daughter is a close relationship because God will be your parent. But the condition here from the book of Romans is that if you are led by the Spirit, which means if you are not led by the Spirit, you are still God's creation. You are not a son or a daughter of God. So we are finding that many of the people in this earth are believing, having this faith that they are children of God, yet they are still creations of God. So their faith is useless because the faith is not fulfilled with actions as stated by the Bible. Because the action to fulfill the faith that you're a child of God is to be led by the Spirit. So if you're not led by the Spirit, you still remain a creation to God. So now the question comes to all who are listening to me, that whatever you do, are you led by the Spirit? Men of God out there, when you preach, are you led by the Spirit of God? People, when you speak, are you led by the Spirit of God? When you sleep, when you wake up, is that all those things from the Spirit of God, or you are just doing as mind-led? Your mind-led. You have your mind leading, not the Spirit of God leading. So that's why you see some of your prayers are not answered, because some of the things God will not be held responsible for them, because it was not His Spirit that was leading, it was your mind. So you are held responsible for your own failure, for your own loss. So that's why some of your prayers are not even answered, because God is not held responsible for them. We find Jesus in the book of John. John chapter 4, verse 19. So Jesus explained, I tell you the truth, the Son can do nothing by himself. He does only what he sees the Father doing. Whatever the Father does, the Son also does. We have Jesus himself not doing things mind-led. He is doing things after an instruction from the Father. Whatever the Father do, then Jesus follows to do what was done by the Father. So Jesus is not doing things that the Father hadn't allowed him to do. So he's doing things after God. But people, they are not doing things because of the Spirit of God. They are doing things from their minds. I will explain later as when we'll be finishing this session, the favors that comes to you as a child, not a creation. As a child of God, not a creation. I will explain to you later. But I want you to listen to this. For you to have a better relationship with God, that is being His son or His daughter, you have to be led by the Spirit of God. If not led by the Spirit of God, then you are not even a child of God. You are His creation. And when God answers prayers, just like a father on this earth, the first preference goes to his children, then later to his creations. So we find that some of the prayers of God's creations are left unanswered because God has pressure from His children. So He's attending His children first before attending to the creations. So you end up seeing that you've not been doing anything since you were born, because you are still a creation to God. You are not led by the Spirit of God, and those who are led by the Spirit of God are children of God. Let me drop another verse that will help you to understand this, to have a better relationship with God. Matthew chapter 5 verse 9. God blesses those who work for peace, for they will be called the children of God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God. So if you are not a peacemaker, you are not a son or a daughter of God. So God is considering His sons and daughters as those led by the Spirit and as those who are peacemakers. So if you are not a peacemaker, you are not a child of God. If you are not a peacemaker, you are not a child of God. And we find most of the people on this earth, what they are doing is not peacemaking, because peacemaking returns back to love, and being led by the Spirit of God returns back also to love. We have the 10 commandments, and I want to group them into two. The first 4 of the 10 commandments, they speak about loving God, and they connect with the first verse that we read, that those led by the Spirit of God are sons and daughters of God. We can't find a person led by the Spirit of God. We can't find that person worshiping other gods. A person led by the Spirit of God, we can't find not honoring Sabbath. A person led by the Spirit of God, we can't find that person praying to other gods, not honoring God as His only God. So the first verse that we read is connecting to the first 4 of the commandments that were given to Moses for us. We are getting to see that this issue is returning back to love. That if you do not have love, you do not have a better relationship with God. Both the love to God and another love to your fellow neighbor, because Jesus came and summarized the 10 commandments. He said, love God and love your fellow neighbor. And when you look at this last 6 of the 10 commandments, they talk about loving your fellow neighbor. We cannot say this person is a peacemaker when you kill your fellow neighbor. you murder your fellow neighbor. We can't find you being a peacemaker when you steal from your fellow neighbor. So the last 6 of the commandments is connecting to the last verse that I have read, that is coming from Matthew chapter 5 verse 9, that blessed are the peacemakers. If you break any of the last 6 commandments, then you are not a peacemaker. So this issue is returning back to love. That if you do not love God, if you do not love your fellow neighbor, you are not a son or a daughter of God. Let me explain the benefits that comes from you being a son or a daughter of God. The book of Prophet Joel prophesies that God in the last days, God said, I'll pour my spirit upon all flesh, upon all flesh, upon all flesh, and the sons and daughters of God shall prophesy. The sons and daughters of God, the sons and daughters of God. So the Spirit is being poured upon all flesh. All flesh, the drunkards, witches, pastors, every flesh is receiving the Spirit of God. But there is a condition there, that only the sons and daughters of God shall prophesy. Which means it's not all flesh that received the Spirit, which is going to be able to use the Spirit of God. Only the sons and daughters. Yes, all flesh is going to receive the Spirit of God. But only the sons and daughters will be able to use the Spirit of God to prophesy, to see visions. So that's the issue now. So you find a person being called a prophet, but the person is not able to prophesy. That person is still flesh, upon all flesh. That person is still flesh, God's creation. He is not a son of God. But when he becomes a son of God, he will be able to use the Spirit that was poured upon his flesh. So the sons and daughters of God are the only ones able to use the Spirit of God. As I finish, I want you to understand that be led by the Spirit of God. Be a peacemaker. All in all, have love for God. Have love for your fellow neighbor. And you are able to be called a son of God, a daughter of God. That's having a better relationship with God. Shalom, viewers. It's quite another